You want to do a countdown?
Hey.
Oh.
Alright.
And like 3, 2, 1, record.
Alright. Alright, 3, 2, 1.
Alrighty.
Click. There.
When you notice you've unintentionally made a sink.
Oh.
That's gonna be great. Yeah. Alright, so God, I'm so tired. You lead us in, David.
Welcome, children.
Okay, that's it. I'm taking over. I'm calling the police.
Well, I guess that's the end of the live stream. I'm going live stream.
What live
This isn't
stream?
live.
Alright.
Full.
Alright, so well, that woke me up, but yeah. Hello, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, the 5 of you, to another Lonecolony podcast. Oh my god. Man, I'm kind of surprised how fast we're pumping out content for this channel, actually. It's actually pretty impressive.
Yeah.
By our standards, by the way.
Yeah. I guess. Like, how often do you post on, like, Rev on Reptiles? Once a year?
I think the last thing I posted, other than the Utah Raptor Isle preview, was the last Ultimate Dinosaur trailer, and I think, oh my god, that must have been ages ago. Jeez.
2016?
Wait, hold up, let me check. Let's just do this real quick. It was. Oh Jesus! It was almost a year ago. It was the fucking Hard Knock Life Jurassic version.
What?
No. You know Hard Knock Life for us.
Yeah.
Yeah, I made a version with clips from the Jurassic franchise. It's nothing though.
Oh, okay. Well, by the way, I'm not recording anymore because when I was, your audio went to shit and I can't hear what you're saying.
Alright, that's fine. You have mine.
Fucking.
Alright. So, yeah, with 3 minutes in, we might as well get started now. So, yeah, so, as the title suggests, we're doing our top 10 favorite films of 2019.
Yeah.
Hopefully this will be at least a 1-hour podcast. I'm hoping for it. Really hoping for that.
Oh, it will. I mean, we have a lot to say, and
yeah, a lot to say in 1 hour don't mix.
yeah. Oh, you're saying you hope it's a max 1 hour. Oh.
I don't know, and we'll see how long we'll go. But yeah, a year has passed. 2019 has proven itself to be a year. I don't want to go into detail, but yeah, it was actually a pretty good year for film in terms of what came out overall. Whether it was continuing franchises, long-awaited sequels, or just revolutionary films that either brought back old mediums or introduced new ones. But we won't be talking about those. We're going to be talking about the dumpster fires of films that we found enjoyable.
Only low quality to be found here, folks. Oh god. I have a fucking tablet fell on my leg.
Oh no.
I'm just sitting at the on the
See,
desk here.
things are already going wrong. Click off now.
All right. So context for me. So this year, me and some friends were basically trying to see as many movies as we could in theaters. And I know there's people who go like at least like once a week, but you know, with school and other stuff, we often, maybe we'd see like 10 movies in theaters in a year.
Like, no,
And
yeah.
honestly, just in general. So this year we saw around like 30, 32. And then I also caught up on some movies on some Netflix specials and stuff. So I have seen 38 movies this year, and a lot of them are pretty good. So making this list wasn't the easiest task.
Yeah. Uh, yeah. Like I said, for me, it was different. Uh, because for one, I like the idea of a healthy and stable bank account. but, uh, but also for me, it was just very busy. Um, like final year, second last year of college, and then the beginning of this new semester was just all hell. But I mainly prioritized with films that I heard of and had a major interest, like Joker, Chapter Two, Godzilla King of the Monsters. But every now and then, I'd occasionally bump into uh, films that release in theaters via, the streaming services, Netflix and Crave. And from there, I was actually able to see some pretty good movies, which we'll be discussing later on. But yeah, um, I
So first, we got honorable mentions.
I thought we like leave those for the end.
No, no, no. It's just the ones because these are the ones that couldn't make the 10, right?
All right, yeah, sure.
Yeah, I didn't want to go like 1 to 15 or whatever low, but I have some ones I want to mention.
All right,
Um,
yeah. Actually, I do have another thing we should talk about. We should talk about films that we wanted to see but couldn't.
yeah,
Yeah, I have a few in here that I want to share, but yeah.
I do. I only have one, I think, but one or two.
All right, but yeah, let's get started.
All right, so I guess for honorable mentions, I'll just list them all.
Yeah,
Avengers Endgame, Klaus,
same.
Midsummer, and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah. For me, Claws, Frozen 2, and Us.
Oh yeah, you did see Us later on. I just
Yeah,
got that on. I sent you. I just got that on Blu-ray.
yeah. Like I said, I was able to catch it on Crave, so that was good.
Oh yeah.
But but it didn't make my top 10, sadly. I did have fun with it though. It's not a bad movie
Oh
in
yeah.
any remark. So yeah.
Hmm.
But yeah, in terms of films that I wanted to catch but couldn't due to circumstance, whether it be late release dates before we did this podcast, because a lot of these they released in their respective countries within the year of 2019, but we're only getting them now in 2020. Uh, that and limited theater runs. But yeah, for me, Parasite, Uncut Gems, and Weathering with You. What about you, David?
Um, in terms of movies I wanted to see, Ready or Not, it Chapter Two, which we were gonna go see, but circumstances came up, and I it's on Netflix. I just never got to a Marriage Story.
Yeah.
I did get quite a few Netflix movies off the list.
All right, so that's good. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, let's get started with the top 10 our top 10 films of 2019. Yeah.
Woo!
All right. Since this is your show, David, I think it'd be appropriate if you went first.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So number 10 is a Netflix special. I Lost My Body.
Yes.
So, so this was so this movie was quite an interesting one. I literally just watched it just the other day on a whim because I saw that it got nominated for Best Animated Feature, and I was looking for. I'll be honest, I was just looking for something. I wanted to watch like a movie that was short in general. It was like an hour and a half. I heard this was really good. I saw it, and was it was pretty impressive. For what it was trying to be. This kind of like two movies in one going on. For people who don't know, the plot is this guy. There's this guy, and he accidentally cuts off his hand, and the hand actually like comes to life, and it's trying to reach its owner, going through like the streets of Paris,
Yeah,
and so that's half the movie. You just see this hand, and it's like it's trying to like both hide from people and kind of survive being eaten by like pigeons and rats and stuff.
yeah,
Um, and then the other half is this hand is getting these like flashbacks to its owner's life, and this is where you see more of like I guess you say the proper film, and that like it's this boy and it's kind of like his life story and stuff, and it's how he met this girl and how like this relationship has it changed him. It's a simple premise in terms of like a coming of age romance,
yeah,
but it's really well done on its own. And then having it next to these scenes of this hand and like this kind of struggle to survive there, and I can't like there's this kind of connection between the two that you could get a lot from,
yeah,
and also the not only is the animation great, but it's nice to see 2D animation at a time where 3D animation is
yeah,
basically
yeah.
taken over.
It's yeah. You definitely notice things like that a lot more nowadays. But like you said, just with the takeover of 3D animation, and uh, it is always nice to see just the occasional 2D animated feature every now and again. So yeah, it's kind
Yeah,
of refreshing in that remark.
I will say like Claw. I mentioned Claws almost made the list, but I think Claws. You and me have the same opinion where it's
Yeah,
like it falls too neatly into some of its cliches, and then like the end, especially when they probably could have done something a lot more creative, but they.
sorry, repeat that.
Uh,
You cut out a bit.
oh, I was saying they could have done something more creative. They had like that liar reveal scene, and I was hoping they were gonna do something more with it, but it played out like exactly as you thought it would.
Yeah,
Now this one, it also ironically this movie also has that, but based on like how the characters act, and the personalities, it fits a lot better here.
yeah,
And it makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot more sense when you consider how like awkward the boy is and kind of the attitude that the girl has.
yeah,
Um, and it kind of ends ambiguously too, which was pretty interesting. Overall, like it's just like a really solid, pretty interesting animated movie. That was it. I don't know if there's a dub in it because I watched it in French with the English subtitles.
I'm pretty
But
sure there is a dub.
before I heard the voice acting was really good. Like everything sounded convincing, even though it was different language.
Yeah,
So I probably wouldn't tell, but yeah. So yeah, I just appreciate it a lot, and I'll be honest. Like in terms of it's gonna be a bit ironic based on what else I have on this list, but I do think that I would like this one to win the Oscar for best animated picture.
yeah, yeah. Excuse me. All right, so I guess you're done.
Yeah, so that's number
All right,
10.
that's the podcast, everyone.
Oh.
Just joking, just joking. All right, so for my number 10 is a film that I felt kind of flew under the radar for a lot of people, despite its like very interesting cast and premise. But for my number 10, Triple Frontier, starring Ben Affleck, Charlie Human, Star Wars, Oscar Isaac, and Pedro Pascal. Um,
Isn't it Charlie Hunnam?
uh, yeah,
Or did I hear that wrong?
no, it's Charlie Human. The guy from Pacific Rim.
No, you said
Charlie.
human.
Yeah, no, sorry. I meant Haman. Fucking,
Names. Names. How do they sound?
fucking Rally Beckett from
No,
Pacific
I
Rim.
don't. Yeah, I know the guy.
But yeah, so basically, to summarize the film, retired U.S. soldiers steal from a Mexican cartel, uh, because expenses. So, basic premise, but strangely enough, I found myself enjoying this film a lot more than I should have. Uh, the cinematography was great, just a lot of beautiful jungle shots, and just seeing these guys traversing a multitude of environments to reach their final goal. Um, I do have a few gripes with it though. Number one, all the eight actors I just mentioned, they all essentially play the same character with just slightly different ideologies. Ben Affleck is basically the money hungry leader who's just kind of going, we need to push, we need to go, blah 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 blah. It's just really pushing his team. Oscar Isaac is basically, he's the challenger to the same ideology, but he wants to do it a little safer. Meanwhile, everyone else, Charlie Human, Pedro Pascal, Garrett Halden, uh, they're just kind of sidelined, and I'm pretty sure if you switch their roles any which way, nothing much would really change outside of that. Um, Overall, it was all right. I do enjoy it a lot. Um, though I do feel like a few changes are needed in a few places. But yeah,
I didn't see this one, so I have nothing to say really.
yeah. All right, you're number 9, David.
That's your number 10.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Thanks for coming to the podcast, though. See you guys next time. All right. That's the last time we're using that fucking joke.
Yep.
All right. So, like I said, it is ironic that I said I want I Lost My Body to win the Best Animated Picture award because my number 9 is Toy Story 4.
Surprise! Another animated film. Oh!
Yeah, and this one is there was a bit of controversy around this just from its inception, and I was honestly like with that too in terms of like by all means it shouldn't exist. Toy Story 3 was a perfect ending to this borderline perfect trilogy. So I thought of making a fourth was almost blasphemous. Now nothing in the trailers really made it seem like it was going to be garbage, but I wasn't that hopeful going into it. But like when it came down to it, watching it, like I think it's up to par with not necessarily Pixar's best, but like it doesn't fumble far outside that range, right?
Yeah.
Like the characters are still as great as ever. It's well written. There's quite a nice lesson, and I think it's people say it goes against kind of the trilogy. I think it contrasts definitely, but it's kind of a case of there's a reason for it. It's like you see how these toys have aged, and you kind of different how like it's based on like life experience and like the needs like the story is based around the idea of change, which a lot of recent of the Disney animated movies have been for some reason. but I think this one does it pretty well. Like you see why, like they make it clear why it has to be like this,
Yeah.
and uh why the lives of like, especially with this movie is centered around Woody basically. Like he's definitely the protagonist here. We mostly follow him throughout. The other toys, maybe unfortunately, the other toys are a bit sidelined. The other characters. That's mostly his adventure and his kind of him getting older and needing something new. And they also show that like the way they've been living, which is kind of how we expected from after the end of Toy Story 3 with the girl. Like they've lived with this girl for a long time, so I don't think it like ruins that ending, right?
Right.
And it does open up a few doors if they want to make another one. They probably shouldn't, but um, the mouse demands blood.
Yeah.
um, I found it. It's pretty like I said, like it's a sweet message. There's some pretty funny lines. Like I like the Spork character. I think he's a lot of fun. I thought Key and Peele were great. They probably have one of my favorite jokes of the year. Um, near the middle of the movie,
Yeah, I still need to see that.
and yeah, just like I think me and my bud Baron were talking about it. I think we both agreed it's like this movie doesn't need to exist, but like I'm so glad it did.
The rare occasions that happen for a sequel.
Yeah, there's a few others coming up, so
Yeah.
I think there's a good balance between like original IPs and sequels and stuff on here, but yeah, uh, Toy Story 4,
Yeah.
number 9.
Alright, for my number 9 is, I think a sequel a good majority of people were waiting for. Uh, I think since 2017, if I'm not wrong. It Chapter 2. Now,
Mm,
now, I have mixed feelings for this film. Like, just the quest to get the MacGuffin, small MacGuffins though. Uh, Actually, I don't even think you could call them MacGuffins. They don't really advance the plot all that much, but uh, basically, borderline. Uh, the clown is back. um,
not
and
that clown. That clown's later.
oh no! But yeah, just to summarize my overall feelings, Bill Skarsgård as Pennywise, he's great. He's absolutely great. There's no dull moment with him. I absolutely love the tension in this film. I remember watching it in the theater with my friend Miles. Um, Granted, he like jolted a lot beside me, and it's like it freaked me out too. But um, he's Bill Skarsgård. He's so great. Especially when you think something bad, he does it in such a innocent way for this highly diabolical space demon clown. He definitely has the main highlights in this film. Uh, Also, the adult actors who play the Losers Club, they're fantastic too. And a lot of them actually fit the molds of the younger actors, and it's kind of creepy too. Like James Ranson, who's the adult version of Eddie, looks almost exactly like the kid actor, which is kind of freaky. But Bill Hader, you gotta give it to the man. He's actually really good in this film. Aside from his comedic quips, uh, his timing, his acting is absolutely fantastic. James McAvoy, I had a like half of the losers I had a bit of problem with. Either I felt they didn't really uh, capture the performances of the younger actors as well. with James McAvoy, I just couldn't see him as Bill too much. I guess because I've seen him in so many other things like Split, Glass, the X-Men films. So it was kind of difficult to, see him playing as Bill. But, outside of that, everyone else was fantastic. The film was fun to watch. Another gripe, the ending. I felt how It Chapter 1 ended was a lot better compared to 2. Uh, but yeah, other than that, my number 9 is It Chapter 2.
Number 9.
Oh, yeah, shit, fuck. I got confused. Oh, number 9. Ah!
Yeah, so yeah, like in chapter 2, we kept trying to see it, but something would come up, or like we just wouldn't feel like going to the movies that day, and it just passed us by, which is weird because I really dig the first one, so I'll probably catch that sometime soon.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so all right, number 8. This is another Netflix special. And it's probably the most of like the movies on this list. That's the Two Pope.
Sorry, can you repeat that? You cut out a bit.
Oh, of course. No, I was saying, all right. So for this next one, probably the most Oscar bait like of the movies on my list, and that's the Two Popes, the Netflix special.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So this is a very interesting movie. It's kind of like a biopic on basically Pope Francis, replacing Pope Benedict, um, in the in as a Pope of the Catholic Church, and it kind of the movie kind of split up into parts I guess the acts are very different. Like the first act, it's them kind of having like these kind of philosophical debates along with kind of just being friends too. It's pretty interesting how like different their views are on so many pretty heavy topics. Do
Yeah,
you
go
hear
for it.
that? Sorry, do you hear my stepbrother in the background?
Yeah.
Oh Christ.
He's very
Okay.
faint, though, so I don't think you should worry about it.
Okay. Um so continuing. Um they like they're very like they act like they're best friends, but their philosophically so really interesting to listen to. How they discuss like kind of controversies within the Catholic Church that are still perfect to this day. And then the next part is kind of this. You find out basically the background story of Pope Francis, of kind of his role with like the Argentinian dictatorship from like a couple decades back, and like it's just all very interesting to witness. And I think what makes it so good is the acting with Anthony Hopkins and the guy who plays Pope Francis is just immaculate. Like it's extremely well done. It's really easy to get in to kind of get into it, and it makes you kind of think about how such an organization like how an organization functions. But it makes you see how these are like this is the head of the Catholic Church again, but they are like people too, and they're flawed and stuff.
Yeah.
Um, but they have so much. They don't cower away from the fact that there's a huge responsibility here. They do like the Catholic like child rape scandals that does come up quite a bit in the movie of how how to deal with that and stuff, and their opinions on it too, and it's pretty heavy. Um, and they appreciated that too. Like it's a pretty like at least what it seems it's pretty honest approach to the whole thing, to what's honestly a pretty controversial situation, and it was a huge deal at the time.
Yeah.
But like I said, like you actually kind of feel for these, even if you don't like agree with what they're saying. Especially with Pope, I think a lot of people probably don't agree with what Pope Benedict is saying, Anthony Hopkins. But you do feel for these guys in it. So yeah, it's just like a really effective movie, really well made, obviously. And it has got some Oscar nods, which I think is deserved, especially for actor and supporting actor.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's my number 8.
Alrighty then. For my number 8, it is the last film in a somewhat long-running trilogy, actually. How to Train Your Dragon 3: The Hidden World.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, we saw it together.
Yeah, finally a film you could comment on.
Yeah, it's good to honestly. It's not. I'm gonna say it right here. It's not in my top 10, but no, that was really good.
Yeah, it's
Um,
I'll just get the, basics out of the way. Visuals, fantastic. Absolutely fucking fantastic. Definitely something you don't really see normally when it comes to dragon related media or most fantasy series with simple medieval creatures. Like the Hidden World was done so well with the translucent dragon eggs, the particles, the glowing
the
effects.
whole dragon world is gorgeous. When
Yeah,
they go into like that underground cave and there's like millions of dragons around them, and there's all
yeah,
these particle effects, it is beautiful. And
yeah,
like the flying sequences are as great as they were in the others.
yeah. I also really like the design of the Light Fury. She's enough of it resembles Toothless in a way, but I think how they executed her was really good. Which also brings me to the texturing of the models. Is Jesus Christ, it's almost like they're real. Absolutely fantastic. But aside from that, the acting was pretty good. Um, Characters were great. Fuck it. I'm losing them. David, help! No, I'm just joking. Honestly, I don't think there could have been a more appropriate ending for the How to Train Your Dragon trilogy, especially considering uh, where it's coming from with the first film and then the continuation with the second film. Um, it's definitely worth a watch, so please go see it.
Yeah, no, I mean, like How to Train Your Dragon 3 was like great, and I really liked like pretty not the most unique story, but once again very well executed. Like you really feel what these characters are going to. It's pretty funny,
Yeah.
especially with like you've seen it memed a bunch with the Toothless and the Light Fury, their whole
Yeah.
interactions. You know, Hiccup and Toothless, it's great chemistry. I mean, it is like a boy and his dog slash cat slash dragon.
Yeah.
Just is got like you have seen this type of relationship, but like it's very once again you feel it here. Toothless does you'll learn. It's very easy to love the main character and his dragon.
Yeah.
I will say it didn't make my top 10 mostly because I found a lot of the side characters to just kind of be whatever,
Yeah.
and I did find the climax to kind of also kind of be whatever, mostly because I don't think the villain is great.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, I guess it is nice to see. You don't really get a lot of those in at least the good animated movies. Those mustache, there's that pure mustache twirling villain,
Yeah.
but he wasn't that memorable to me.
No, I agree. I
But
agree.
I do think the ending is very sweet.
Yeah.
Um, ironically, I haven't seen the second. I know the plot. I've seen clips and stuff, but I haven't seen it in full.
Oh wait, actually, dude, the second is on Netflix right now.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
Check it out later then. Probably should have seen. If I knew it was on your list, I would have seen. I would have seen it. Although I have heard from others that it's kind of a Star Wars situation where most people do agree like the second one's the best.
Yeah.
At least, yeah, and then this one is a bit under that. Personally, I like the first one more than this.
Yeah.
Maybe it is also because that first one was such a surprise.
Yeah.
Um,
I'd say check out the second
but
one
yeah,
if you're
no,
gonna
this.
come up with a conclusion.
But yeah, no, like this is also one where it's like I don't mind if this one. I honestly wouldn't mind if this one got the Oscar for best animated movie.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind it with any of the winners. I haven't. There's one on. I haven't seen Missing Link, but I've seen the other four.
Yeah.
Um, but I wouldn't mind any of them winning. I would rather the two kind of promotes a sea change, or at least I hope it would.
Yeah.
Because I want to see more 2D animated movies. But goddamn, these three, a lot of these 3D ones. There's some shit ones throughout the year. I didn't see them, like Wonder Parking and Arctic Dogs. I didn't see those, but when they're good, they are some of the best of the year. I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, yeah.
All right. So speaking of God, for my number 8, my number 7 is a movie that I shit on this channel for so long.
Oh boy.
So my number 7 is Godzilla, King of the Monsters.
Okay, so like
Um,
like a bit of a pause here because I should probably mention Godzilla's also on my list at number 5. So let's just like finish it right here and now, and so yeah.
yeah, this one needs a finality because goddamn, I dug into this so hardcore. But
Yeah.
but like it was so weird because throughout the months, I was like drawn to it, like it was calling me.
The siren call.
And
But
it didn't sit like me, like in my head I'm like, yeah, I think this is like a 6 out of 10. It's just mediocre. But even as I was hating on it, something just didn't sit right. There's been movies from there's franchises I love where there's movies from it that I think are shit.
yeah.
Like Fallen Kingdom for Jurassic World is awful.
Yeah.
And the recent Rise, we'll talk about this movie in the future one day, but I thought Rise of Skywalker was terrible. And
Yeah.
I even liked both the Disney Star Wars movies until that one. Um, so it's not just because like, oh, I'm a Godzilla, but yeah, something about this one just felt wrong. Just showing it. I rewatched it a bunch and just like in my spare time. I didn't force myself to anything, and I just like grew to kind of just love it. I love its even its world and its characters, just how kind of crazy the whole thing is.
Yeah.
I think there's like this laid back attitude to a lot of it, and even though a lot of stuff in it is cliched, I feel like it's really well made, even despite its cliches. The characters, especially, like the acting is actually. I mentioned the
Yeah.
acting was good, but there's something about the way they talk that I kind of find hilarious.
Yeah, the dialogue is definitely questionable at times. More notably, as you pointed out in the podcast, Count Zerazawa at the fucking Senate, like, trying to explain in some spiritualistic way why we shouldn't kill the monsters when he should have just given them the bare bone basics.
Yeah, like some basic is it has because there's a way to word this where I'm like you probably can pretty convincing argument as to why you shouldn't just kill these things outright
Yeah,
in terms of endangerment to humanity. But like I like that about his character. It really is he's kind of us.
yeah,
He loves Godzilla and we love Godzilla.
yeah,
And that's really that's really the point of his character. But like the act, like everything he says is so quote worthy.
yeah,
The guy who plays the main character, I used to hate, but I kind of love how he is like the know-it-all scientist. But I like how they lean into that. Like he's a snarky douchebag most of the time.
yeah. Mark Russell, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
like I kind of like that. I like how the villain is just so batshit with her plan. It's
yeah,
an insane fucking plan, but like, yeah, just like the stuff I found annoying at first, like just found entertaining, and the stuff that was good is still good. The monster stuff, the monster personalities, the
yeah,
CGI dip in quality, but there's so many great shots. The music is still great.
Yeah.
In terms, it's no Pacific Rim, but I think it falls just below Pacific Rim.
Arguably, yeah. Yeah. Um,
Yeah, and I'll be honest, like it is a case of the first movie is better made, but it's a lot easier to
yeah,
rewatch King of the Monsters.
yeah, I feel with 2014, it definitely limited itself because it was trying to answer the question, alright, what would happen if Godzilla were to attack our world? But with King of the Monsters, it definitely takes more of the Fantasious route. It definitely, instead of what 2014 did, which was simply dipping its toe within the lore, I feel like
Also,
King of the
20.
Oh wait, no, sorry, you go.
No, 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 I was saying, I also feel like 2014, in their efforts to limit screen time for suspense, the problem is what they were with often isn't that interesting.
Yeah,
The plot and characters aren't that interesting in 2014 where it's worthwhile. Like that's what makes it different from Jaws and Aliens, because in Jaws you love the crew, you love the crew on the boat, and same thing with Alien. You come to really appreciate like the crew members.
yeah,
So even when you're not seeing the monster, you're so entertained. This one in 2014, not really. In this one, sure the characters are dumber. It's a lot looser with like the plot threads. There's probably a million
yeah,
plot holes and stuff that doesn't make sense. But the character, like I said, I feel like I've come to really have fun with these characters, so I'm not bored when I'm seeing them. And then the
yeah,
monster stuff is still as great as it's always been. And some of the shots in this one are some of the best in this whole MonsterVerse.
yeah, yeah,
Every praise I had for it before, it's still there.
yeah.
And
I think it definitely is because King of the Monsters was definitely a lot looser than 2014. It definitely jumped in the deep end in terms of lore. They
and
just
it,
they just went batshit with it, and I
yeah,
think it
and in
really worked.
retrospect, I think the trailers really ruined King of the Monsters on that
Yeah,
first watch for
yeah.
us, for me at least.
No, I agree. I
Yeah.
agree.
Having stepped away from that, I can appreciate these action sequences a lot more because I'm not just sitting there thinking I've seen this before in the trailers.
Yeah,
And it's a good lesson as I'm gonna be avoiding a lot of trailers. I might watch one for Godzilla vs Kong and then keep it there.
yeah.
Um,
Um,
but yeah, it like inched its way up, and I actually felt pretty comfortable with it
yeah,
in my top 10. It's a
yeah,
full, and I mean, like I know it's no Oscar nominated worthy film like Two Popes, Lost in My Body, but a lot of this too is like this list a combination of what I think is quality, but it's also what movies I go back to. And yeah, I do go back to like kind of fun, quote unquote, fun movies for just my personal in my
yeah,
spare time. Right? If I want to rewatch something, I want to enjoy it. So that's why this is above movies that are technically better, and even there's a lot of movies on the list that didn't make the list that are a lot better than this, and
yeah,
there's going to be movies above that. You could say the same thing, like
yeah, yeah. But yeah, in
what
terms
I
of
think
yeah,
is quality wise. Sorry, I'm on a rant. But I
yeah,
think quality wise, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood would probably be like number four. you know,
yeah,
I just like that movie. I probably won't come back to. But this, yeah, I went back to King of the Monsters a lot. I probably will go back
yeah.
and enjoy the ride.
Yeah. For me, I think King of the Monsters done fixed a good number of issues with 2014. I've definitely seen some elements in the universe that I really wanted to see in response to the events of 2014. Like, how does the world respond to Godzilla now? How do they comprehend the existence of these giant monsters? And we do get that. Uh, Characters, I'm alright with the protagonist. The antagonist still leaves a bit of a thorn in my side. Um, but they're great actors either way. Vera Farmiga, Charles Dance, they pull it off real well. Um, but yeah, the protagonists are also really good. I I love Bradley Whitford as Rick Stanton, just a quippy scientist, just cracking one-liners and uh, kind of relieving the seriousness of the film. But I think the
A lot of
one,
people found that. Sorry to interrupt. A lot of people found that character cringy. I love all. His bad quotes.
Exactly.
Oh my god, Zilla.
But
Now that's
yeah.
cinema, baby. Eat shit, Scorsese.
Oh, let's not do that too soon, but yeah, soundtrack by Bear McCreary. Absolutely loved the new material and the implementation of the original Akira Fukube soundtracks, and also the soundtracks from the Mothra films as well. And of course, finally, King Ghidorah. Oh my god. I absolutely love this rendition of King
Oh,
Ghidorah. He's he's exactly what the character was depicted to be in the Showa in the original films. So it's kind of great to see him manifested in in the modern day, and he kind of lives up to that planetary terror that he was depicted to be. And the multiple personalities, the CG model. I kind of wish they went with the mane on the head, but this design is just absolutely fantastic. I absolutely love how they stay true to the original Toho designs, and it just plucks me. It plucks at my heartstrings a little bit to see you know a dedicated Godzilla fan having a crack at this character
all right.
in a
Hold
multimedia
on, hold
film.
on. You finish your sentence, brother, to be a bit more quiet.
Yeah, okay. But yeah, yeah, beautiful cinematography, fun characters, and resolving most of the problems uh, that not only the people had, but some problems I had with 2014, making King of the Monsters my number 5. My number 7 is something completely different. But yeah,
All right.
welcome back.
Yeah. Yeah. Usually we're all fucking loud. It's just I
Yeah.
can hear them through the walls.
Yep.
All right. So
But
I
yeah.
guess did you?
Yeah, I gave my final statements about King of the Monsters and it being at my number 5. But yeah.
Yeah.
You were at number 7, right?
So that was my number 7.
Okay, so yeah,
So that was your number 7.
yeah, my number 7 is completely different. My number 7 is no superpowers and no costumes. The Irishman. uh,
I don't know. I thought the Englishman was a lot better.
yeah, no. If we really want to rip a hole, Iron Man. Okay, so all right, so The Irishman. I think I've only seen one other Scorsese film, but I'm pretty familiar with mob films overall. Um, I don't specialize in them. I don't seek them out particularly, but there was something about The Irishman that made me want to see it. First off, the cast. Holy crap, where do I begin with the cast? You got Robert De Niro, Al Pacino, Joe Pesci. I could keep going on and on, but it's such a great cast. Also directed by the great but somewhat controversial Martin Scorsese.
I think we got a bit into that. We'll probably have that'll be something fun to dig in more. Not him because a lot of people give him shit for it. I think
Yeah,
it's a bit much. Of course, he doesn't like Marvel movies, but I think
yeah,
there is something to be said about what his statements were.
yeah,
Um, but focusing on the Irishman, I saw this one too,
yeah,
and it doesn't make my top 10 honorable mentions, but I'll it is extremely well crafted. It is a very well crafted movie,
yeah,
and you can see the effort. And this, I'm not familiar. I haven't seen any mafia movie in my life.
yeah,
I think maybe as like when I was a lot younger, and I don't like my parents maybe had it on. They were watching. I was just sitting there, but I don't
yeah.
remember.
Another thing
But the acting, the dialogue, it's all stellar stuff.
yeah, yeah,
And I was pretty invested for like I'd say 2 hours and 45 minutes of it, and not
Yeah,
like the first 2 hours 45 minutes. Like throughout the movie, totaled up, but
yeah,
like that's extremely impressive. But the problem is, it's 3.5 hours.
yeah. I felt like that's one of the major problems I have with the film. But I'll get to that later. The one thing I really want to touch on is how Martin Scorsese implemented CG in this film. The de-aging
Oh,
technology
the
that they,
de-aging
yeah, the de-aging
was.
technology they crafted for this film was seamless.
I will
It
say, at first, it looked a little weird.
like,
Either I got used to it after a bit, or it did get bad as a movie.
yeah, it's just, you compare it to other de-aging films, but nothing can really compare. They really pulled it off. And it's also really great to see how, you have directors of old accepting the new tools and technologies being implemented in films because I often see, the old time filmmakers kind of complaining how uh, the state of how we decide to create certain elements in films is, a little too easy or a little too safe with CG, but it's kind of great to see Martin Scorsese accepting it as a powerful tool, and he used it to his fullest advantage and made probably the best example of, just getting a younger version of existing actors. But yeah, in terms of complaints, 3 hours. By the 1 hour 30 mark, I thought we were at the 2 hour mark, but no, no, no. we, we were halfway there. I think if the film was less segmented, just constantly going back and forth between the three different, um, plots in this one character's line of work, instead of just the first half hour going constantly back and forth between the car ride to assassinate Al Pacino and Robert De Niro being really old and then his younger self joining the mafia. Maybe it would have been better if we just saw this as a linear film from beginning to end rather than in segments, almost like Dunkirk.
Yeah, I don't think it really ruined the pacing because most of the movie is in order.
Yeah, but
Um, it is kind of the idea of you're being told this story in the way that he's telling the FBI agent,
yeah,
and yeah, yeah, the pacing. I mean, pacing's automatically hard when you decide to make a 3 hour, 3.5 hour movie.
yeah,
Um, I do feel like I did it. Like everything is showed. I don't think I needed to see all of it to both get what was going on and to be invested. 'Cause I was pretty, like I said, most of the time I was pretty invested in what was going on.
yeah,
And even then, even if I wasn't, I could appreciate just the acting chops I was seeing and stuff. I
yeah,
did like, obviously it's another kind of biopic situation. I hope I'm using that term correctly, but based on a true story, these
Sup-
are real
supposed true
people.
story. Actually, I should probably elaborate. Based on a memoir that is supposedly based on true events.
Yeah, yeah. I looked that up. There's a bit of controversy, not like in terms of is that guy telling the truth or is he just crazy or
Yeah,
straight lying?
yes, but we may never know. Ooh. But
Yeah,
yeah, um, yes. I guess now it's
but
number.
was it cinema?
You know what? No, yeah, it is. I liked it. All right, fuck.
And by the way, for anyone who gives a shit, I don't at all disrespect Scorsese. I do love taking the piss.
All right, number 6.
Number 6. Um, so number 6 is my horror movie of the year. Even though I probably saw like two. Us.
Hey.
Jordan Peele's Us. This I did not see Get Out, and when it came out, and I saw it later, but I wish I saw it in theaters because I heard the audience reactions were insane.
Yeah.
But what surprised me about Us is just how much this guy is able to balance in his movies. It's
Yeah.
such a smooth combination of like there's moments of pure tension, there's creepy moments, there's slasher moments. Sometimes it is legitimately scary, sometimes it's really funny.
Yeah.
Um
You know.
there's a lot of social commentary, but it's never too preachy about
Yeah.
it, and it's really clever.
You
More
know.
so in Get Out, but in this one, it's still present. It's pretty vague. It's more vague, trying to get you to kind of think about things.
Yeah.
Um, the acting is superb. Um, no one feels out of place. The and yeah, it's just like it shocks me how much this movie balanced still just like quality.
Yeah. Actually, I'm kind of curious. What are your thoughts on the twist ending?
I I mean, when I saw it, I'm like, oh, mind blown, kaboom,
Yeah.
and it's kind of it does add there is a creep factor to it. It's like what happens, all that, right?
Yeah.
Um, I liked it. I like the twist ending. I think it's definitely appropriate for the message it's trying to tell. Um,
Yeah.
if I'm getting the message right, it is vague. You could argue that's pretension, but I think the movie is too well made for it to just be like, oh, he gave up, so it's one of those cop out sort of messages, right?
Yeah.
No, like it is like, too much effort's being thrown in for that to be the case. I heard like people saying how it's kind of like a societal thing that the clones are meant to be like kind of think of the like societal abandoned kind of. We'll get to that. We'll get to that movie. um, um,
Society? Did someone say? Did someone just say society?
You're going friggin' dessert.
Too soon. Too soon.
but um, but this yeah no this like it's a blast
Yeah.
breaking down. It is a lot, even though it is it's just a lot of fun, really. When I think about it, I think that's his main kind of draw to me. It's legitimately thrilling about being pretty smart, and it's very even though there is substance, it's very stylish.
Yeah.
Um,
I will give Jordan Peele
it
this. He has a gift of making ideas on paper that initially sound stupid really fucking good in film.
yeah, like oh, what's the story? Everyone has a damn clone, and the clones are coming to take over the
Yeah.
world.
Or even Get Out, a cult of rich white people abducting African Americans and stealing their bodies.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's like it's a stupid idea on paper, but he makes so much gold with it. It's
yeah,
so you gotta give man credit there.
yeah. I mean, people have talked about Get Out like forever, and
Yeah,
that one's like we could go on a whole tangent about how great Get Out is, but no, Us is he's proved that he isn't a one hit wonder, and I am down for
whatever else comes next, right?
whatever his next piece of madness. And it is movies like this that have get like other directors have taken note. Midsummer, also a fantastically made horror movie. I think the only reason it's not on here is because, like I said, especially with horror movies, there's a fun factor that I like with my horror movies. But Midsummer is like as a movie as good,
Yeah,
and it has its own strengths, and it's very much inspired by movies like um, by Jordan Peele's work.
yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my number 6.
Alright. So for my number 6, actually, when it came to deciding my top 10, I was really struggling because I only had 9 films in my list. So I was struggling to try and find a 10th. And so, I saw some films on Netflix to see if that will fill the void, but it didn't. And then all of a sudden, I had like this epiphany one day about this film that I saw later on Crave. And then I kind of realized, you know what? Yeah, that was a really good film. On the list you go, Fighting with My Family.
Oh my god! Another movie that I saw that I was amazing. Is way better than we thought it was gonna be.
Yeah. Yeah, first off, the cast. Great cast of characters here. We of course have the brick wall, the Rock, the Stone, Dwayne, the Rock Johnson.
It's so weird to see The Rock just as the actual Dwayne The Rock Johnson,
Yeah,
and he's the exact same as he is in his movies.
can you imagine his acting line? Wait, sorry, just the advice the director gave. All right, so you're basically playing yourself, okay?
Hey,
Yeah,
you'll
that's
walk around a
it.
bit and like just
just do
just
you,
answer
man.
on.
Yeah, but outside of that, the family, like Florence Pugh, Lena Headey, Nick Frost, he's great too. But of course, I think this, like the absolute jewel in the film had to be Jake Loden. Loden, I think that's how you pronounce it. The son character.
Yeah,
It's like he has this great range of emotions throughout the film. Just happy, excited, devastated, disappointed, and his character goes through some major shit, which is always great to see in
yeah.
any film.
I really liked his character. There's a lot of up and downs, and like it trying to deal with kind
Yeah,
of feeling like the lesser sibling, and there's a lot to it. Overall, the movie it is kind of a standard sports film in a way. It has a lot of those cliches,
yeah. Or
but it's
or
just
maybe
like
or maybe we just like his character so much because we could imprint ourselves onto him. Oh God.
god damn.
Shit.
Yo, you need to relax. You
Ah!
need to, you need to chill. I guess you could. I guess like anyone could really feel for him if you've ever felt like
Yeah,
a, a sibling, or hell, even a friend doing better than you. But like you want to feel good for him, but something inside there is always a bit of envy, a bit of jealousy. Um, but with him, it's very intensified by circumstances and stuff.
yeah,
Um, and it really comes to a boil
yeah, yeah,
in a really interesting way. But yeah, like the acting superb. It's very wholesome. It's
yeah,
complete opposite of what the WWE right now. It's just such a well made film, and I think I especially appreciate how you had enough wrestling cameos, but it was never the focus.
yeah,
They weren't too overbearing. They felt really natural, and the
yeah,
focus was the story.
yeah. It was, yeah, basically same notes as what David just said, but yeah. Um, but yeah, just Fighting with My Family is my number 6.
All right. On to number 5. All
I need
right,
to.
watch out.
Yep.
All right, watch out, guys. Society is about to
All
get shaken. There's a
right, hold
cloud
on.
on the way.
All right, hold up, hold up. This one is also on my list, but a different place. So fuck. All right, the film that David's about to talk about is actually my second favorite film. So whatever we say here, just apply it there. So yeah.
Yeah. So this movie, it's Joker. I forgot to say. It's fucking Joker.
Society.
Society. So this movie, once again, this is another case of as a movie, it is a 10 out of 10 film to me. I gave 2 10 out of 10s this year, the other one showing up later.
Yeah.
but this is actually one of them. It's it is borderline perfect in what it's trying to present. Um, and it really struck a chord with everyone. It's lower on the list because there's other movies that, like, personally, I would go back to more. That I plan to go back to more often, and I would prefer to talk about over this.
Yeah.
Maybe part of that is this movie does have a pretty cancerous fan base. Not in that they're all like these edgelord incels. Okay, a lot of them are edgelords, but like, but there is kind of this the fanboy hype is it is a bit much.
Yeah.
That doesn't really change my perspective on the film. If it does, it's inadvertent, right? I don't
Yeah.
like them, but as a movie, it's borderline perfect. And in a way, I guess it's not interesting to talk about because you all know why it's good.
Yeah.
I just need like you all know what am I gonna say? Yeah, Jacqueline Phoenix's performance was perfect. Everyone agrees with this.
Yeah.
Everyone thinks this. Something I will say though that a lot of people don't is that I feel like this movie was meant to be really creepy at times in a way that not a lot of people kind of talk about.
Yeah. Kind of like how Arthur just kind of looks out into space, and I think one scene that definitely kind of personifies what you're talking about is when he got that complaint and he doesn't respond at all. He just kind of looks off blankly with a smile on his face as the sound kind of fades out around him.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's
I think the perfect example is the scene where he kills the people on the subway and then he go dances in like this kind of bathroom stall, right?
yeah,
A lot of people have like some people actually felt like the scene was like kind of sad. It's supposed to be kind of tragic in a way, and I guess it is. But there's something about like, yeah, sure, they're using the classic oh sad violin, but there's something about like the violin kind of screeches in a way, the way it's produced, that
yeah,
just makes it. And the fact that he did just kill some people, they probably did they deserve it. Yeah, they're like beating up on this fucking mentally disabled, like mentally ill person,
yeah,
but there's something really creepy about it.
yeah,
And there is the social commentary. It's not super deep, right?
yeah,
It's we as society tend to be not necessarily evil, but apathetic towards poor people, mentally ill people.
yeah,
And this movie is kind of you have a situation where it's Gotham, so there's this kind of evil vibe
yeah,
the city gives off. So this is kind of like the break. It's kind of like this is like the low point, the lowest point. I'm gonna say right now, I don't relate to Joker, right?
yeah,
I don't think unless you're like mentally ill, like legit have a mental illness, or are extremely poor. I don't think he's meant to represent just out society, societal outsiders, right?
yeah.
I don't think you're supposed to, I don't think his situation is comparable to a furry, which could be considered a societal outcast in a way, right?
No, that's a perfect example. Like, I know a lot of people are definitely complaining on what the film quote unquote promotes. Um, like for you, what did you get out of the film actually?
I do. I feel like it is a case. I feel like it is a case of this city. Like the Joker's a villain, and I think the idea is that he does all these things and he's kind of justified. But then I think the turning point is when he kills Murray
Yeah,
because they kind of show. Yeah, sure, Murray made fun of him a bit, right?
yeah,
But he didn't deserve death.
yeah,
Everyone else kind of did because they kind of wronged him in some way, right? Like they got him fired. One guy got him fired. The three guys on the subway were beating the hell out of him for no reason.
yeah,
So I think that is the turning point of where he becomes a Joker. And I think the movie is like, this is wrong. I don't think it's advocating for a societal uprise. Maybe it's suggesting that it could be suggesting that if things are going the way they are, something's gonna give, right?
Yeah,
Something
yeah.
bad's going to happen,
No, I
and
totally agree with you on that front.
it's not, maybe it's not necessarily right. You know, this, I think our bud Carlos called it a communist uprising or something. We're gonna get him on to talk about this because he didn't like it.
Yeah,
And it'd be interesting to hear his opinions. I've heard a few of them, but you have this. Like I said, I feel like the message is a case of it's like a potential, not an inevitability extreme,
yeah,
but a case of this is how things could be. Where you have a class of people who will get continuously frustrated until they find this breaking point.
yeah,
Um, in terms of the Joker himself, it is a case of his thing is he's more catalyst. His social commentary, it's more so, it's not necessarily that some people treat him badly, but others kind of they act in a way that we would act. I think the perfect example is on the on him on the bus, right? He's like trying to
yeah,
make this kid laugh, right?
yeah,
I've been on the bus, and that would be a case of I could easily imagine a parent, even if I was that parent, like, sure, he might be this harmless guy, but it's you don't really want people messing with your kids, right?
yeah,
Even if it seems harmless, it's it is a bit iffy, and it's not like she completely tells him off.
yeah,
And he starts laughing. He gives her the card. She reads it, and she's like, "All right." Like she just tries to ignore him.
yeah,
These are actions that I think a lot of us we don't want to admit it, right?
yeah.
But I think a lot of people choose safety first. I guess you could say,
No, no, you're right.
and it's unfortunate, but it's true.
Yeah,
Stuff like that, I think, is very clever. Um, maybe it is such a steal that maybe we should care more. Even practicality, that's iffy. It's also a comic. I think the big thing to remember too is like this is a comic book movie, and what that means to me is that certain things are always comics exaggerate things. That's kind of their appeal
yeah,
from the few I've read, and then in comic book movies, I think it's the same philosophy there. Things are exaggerated, and Joker, like any comic book movie, exaggerates a lot of things.
yeah,
I think that's the best way to put it, and I think that's I don't see a lot of its message as problematic, where others might,
yeah,
because it's part of the deal, I guess you could say.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, there is. I think it's extremely well made. Performances are great. There's a lot to talk about, and yeah, as a movie and sheer quality wise, It'd probably be number. Just the movies above it. I'm probably gonna be going back to a
yeah.
lot more.
So yeah, that was your number five, right?
Yep.
Yeah, we already did my number five, so I guess I'll move on to number four. Um,
Oh, jeez.
yeah, King of the Monsters. But yeah, for my number four is Missing Link.
Oh,
Now, let's start off with the obvious. I think I don't think it's an exaggeration to say that stop motion animation is kind of a dying breed nowadays.
yeah.
Especially since this is coming from the same studio that did Wallace and Gromit.
I wouldn't even say nowadays. I think stop motion animation has been kind of in maybe in the underground, but it hasn't been mainstream since like the 60s, like even then the 50s.
Yeah,
You're
so
talking stop motion in general. That was like it hasn't been popular in decades.
yeah, yeah, like so it's kind of great to always see some of the older mediums just, breaking through um, the norms and, just making a stand in uh in the general public. So, sorry, give me a minute. I'm trying to present myself a little bit, but yeah. So, missing link.
This whole we've been stumbling over our words this whole
Yeah,
podcast, both
yeah,
of us.
yeah. But yeah. So, missing link. One of the first films I saw in the year. Things that I like. The designs. Nicely exaggerated. It's nothing too safe or something we've seen before, like Shaun the Sheep, Chicken Run, or as I mentioned, Wallace and Gromit. So I really appreciate it for that. The characters are likable. Like the main scientist character slash cryptozoologist, Sir Sir Frost, played by Hugh Jackman. He was fantastic. He played. I think it was a great balance between charismatic and being a bit of a dick, because he is kind of doing most of his tasks are mainly for himself, but uh, like in the end, the major goal is to get Mr. Link, played by Zach uh, Gallifrey, Gallifrey, the guy from The Hangover, um, to just get him back home. And it's just the chemistry between the characters. It's kind of great to see characters getting along every once in a while. Um, like it's always great to have tension between two characters, but I felt we've seen that enough times already. So it's kind of great to see uh, Mr. Link and Sir Frost just getting along and just being friends. Um, just getting just doing their thing, basically Poe and Finn from fucking Star Wars. uh, Force Awakens, by the way.
From the better ones,
Yeah,
from
from the
the
better
good
one.
ones.
But yeah, also the animation, the designs, so good. The opening sequence, we follow Frost trying to prove the Loch Ness Monster. And I absolutely love how they made the Loch Ness Monster. It's like a cross between an elasmosaur, a fish, and a brachiosaur. It's definitely something we haven't seen before, so that's very appreciative. The animation is great as well, just the fur effects on Mr. Link himself, the set designs. Sometimes we kind of forget that these are miniatures, but when you see those sets, it's just so big and it's fucking fantastic. But yeah, Mr. Link is my number four.
Yeah, so that's one that I did miss in theaters. I think we were just very busy at the time. There was something else that came out that weekend. We just never got to it.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate. Maybe I'll catch it sometime during this year.
Yeah, I think it's on Crave at the moment, actually. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So ironically, between us, we kind of got all the like best animated feature nominations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do I think Mr. Link should win the Oscars? Maybe.
Oh
Maybe.
no, except Klaus. Klaus is in our honorable mention.
Oh yeah, yeah, sure.
Ironically, because that's the one that I think is getting online the most fanfare for winning. Because
Yeah.
a lot more people saw Claws and like I Lost My Body, and most of
Yeah.
those people like them more than the others.
Yeah. Yeah.
Missing Link also kind of went under the radar, comparatively
No,
speaking.
yeah, yeah. I kind of bombed at the box office actually.
Hmm. Yeah.
But yeah. Um Number three, David, go.
Oh no, now it's
Oh
my
wait,
number
number
four.
four. Oh shit, fuck.
So after all that we've said, my number, like we're talking about the Oscar-nominated animated movies and stuff, right?
Yep.
So my number four is just very ironic. My number four is Frozen 2.
Yay!
So these people don't know. I love the first Frozen. I adore it. I know it's overrated. I know all that. I know it's overhyped. I know we're sick of the songs, all that crap. I love it. Unapologetically. And I know it's not perfect. It just hits home. And this one, I was very looking forward to quite a lot, but very worried about too.
Yeah.
I was extremely concerned, and when the trailers came out, it was actually looking to be pretty interesting.
Yeah,
Um,
I will admit, when that first trailer came out, I didn't think much of it. Then I actually saw it. I saw Elsa trying to fight the oceans. I mean, what else are you gonna describe it as? But yeah, it's um, strangely enough, I found myself getting interested in it too, and I'll be honest, I'll be frank, I did not like the first Frozen as much as David here. If anything, I really didn't like it, but Frozen 2, ooh, great improvement from the last one in my opinion.
so we're getting closer to the daylight to the time release. The trailer still looked great, but then those first reviews were coming out on Rotten Tomatoes. They were positive, but they were worrying
Yeah,
because it was it was like getting praise for the animation, the songs, and even some of the character stuff. A lot of the saying the story, like they weren't really messing with the story that much. And then the YouTube reviews came out, and they were pretty negative overall. Um, not as negative as for something like one of the worst. No one really said it was one of the worst of the year. No one really hated it, but it was still concerning. So the day comes, go in, saw with my mates, and I loved it. Like a lot of the issues people had, I just didn't have with it. A lot of people had issues with like Kristoff's kind of side story. I thought it was kind of sweet and pretty funny. I wasn't annoyed by Olaf. I actually thought he was probably funnier in this one than. Are you there?
yeah.
Or
Sorry,
no, you went completely quiet.
sorry.
But
Yeah,
the stuff with Anna and Elsa, I just thought it's so engaging. It's fantastic. They're kind of sisterly bond. It just comes off very naturally, and the strength of the voice actors, Idina Menzel and Kristen Bell, is just so good.
yeah,
And I think it's even improved since the last one. Um, like I feel like they got even better. They were already fantastic. The first one is voice actor,
yeah,
and I'll be honest. Now the songs. That's what everyone talks about. The first movie does have a great soundtrack. There's a couple duds like Fixer Upper,
yeah,
and I'd say even It's Summer isn't that like they're nothing compared to like excuse me, First Summer Forever or Let It Go. Obviously, everyone fucking knows Let It Go. We're sick of it, but hey,
yeah,
in this one, the most of this except for maybe all really remember the name of all the songs in this one are great. I think.
yeah,
Idina Menzel has two songs, and sure, it is trying to recapture "Let It Go" a bit, but I think they're different enough. They're kind of more these lower key ballads that they start very softly but kind of grow. They become bigger and bigger, and then when she goes all out, like the singing is very impressive here. It's even more impressive than in the last one. I feel like they got to kind of stretch those vocal cords a bit more. Kristoff's
yeah,
song, I found really funny. And I know it is cheap in that like the joke is, hey, look, it's an '80s ballad, and then the movie becomes an '80s ballad.
yeah,
But I don't know, I did find that really funny, and it is sweet. It is pretty sweet, and on a solo song, Kristen Bell, Jesus Christ. I could go on forever about why that whole scene and song is like perfect.
yeah.
Um,
Um,
and I'm so glad they really let her in that song. They let Kristen Bell really shine with her vocals because when she's able to belt out, she's probably as good as Dina Menzel in this movie at least.
yeah, yeah,
And as a character moment, I think it's really powerful. and it really matches her character. The song, like Elsa's songs also fit her character very well. There's still a nice contrast between them, as it was in the first one. And I should probably stop talking because I feel like we're going to cover these movies more in the future. I would love to have a full episode on honestly Disney animations movies this decade.
Yeah, we could do that. We could do that. Actually, we
the last thing I would like to say though.
I was gonna say we need to do a top 10 films of the decade, but yeah, please continue. Oh god.
The last thing I want to say though, this is something I know you would love to comment. Yeah.
Oh wait, sorry. Repeat that. You cut out.
No, I said something I'm sure you would like to talk about too is the animation.
Oh yes, the animations. Oh boys.
The art style and just the quality. Jeez.
Like what they did here is practically the same thing they did with Dragons. They had this, toon-like style, but they implement such realistic textures and details. It's so good. It's so fantastic. I absolutely love like the little crystals on Elsa's jacket, the textures of the rocks on the beach when she's fighting the horse, and the particle effects too, like the fire salamander. That was fantastic.
That is something else too. I feel like a lot of times, even when it comes to animated movies, even How to Train Your Dragon, action scenes, they were never that good at making action scenes interesting. I think the best they've been would be like the Incredibles movies, right?
Yeah.
On Pixar side, and maybe sometimes the Kung Fu Panda movies are really good with it too. But in this one, the action scenes, they're really well done.
Yeah.
And they're really exciting too. But along with the animation, the art style, they took full advantage of like the Scandinavian setting.
Yeah.
Based on, I think it's based on Iceland, especially the beach scene, and then also movies based on like Norway and Finland. I guess by association Sweden too. There's something about like the mix of these oranges, reds, yellows, and then on like with the gray, like that kind of shale gray.
Yeah.
It's absolutely gorgeous. And that's along with Elsa's like her ice powers and she's doing things.
Yeah.
The movie does have like there is a more serious tone throughout it than there has been in a lot of Disney animation movies. They're kind of building up to this.
Yeah.
There's still silly moments. Once again, Olaf gets solo song. There's a bit of slapstick and stuff, right?
Yeah.
But when he gets serious, he gets really serious. Another thing too is like, especially on also, they're allowed to they emote a lot, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of times where they're like, they get angry, they get sad, and the animations on the faces is really expressive.
Yeah.
In a way that I don't feel like they haven't. Once again, it kind of shows, you can see the progression, and this really shows how far these animators have come when it comes to movies like these.
Yeah. Well, we've come a long way from those horror Pixar shorts.
Oh god, the baby! Oh no, the baby!
Oh no! Yeah, we don't talk about that. We don't talk about the dark times here.
I would love to go on about this thing, and I have to my mates. But yeah, it's number 4. One more thing. I agree that the pacing's a bit off, but honestly, I didn't mind. I felt like I was I was very much along for the ride.
Yeah, same. My number one gripe with any film would be pacing issues, but for this one, I didn't feel them at all. But yeah,
I think the only piece of pacing that felt odd was like that first act goes by really fast.
Yeah,
it feels like we get to like that ancient forest very quickly. Even though
Yes.
there's quite a bit that happens before that, but still, like I said, it's I think it's actually I legitimately think it's a great movie.
Yeah.
And sure, there is bias because I love the first one so much, and I adore these characters. Um, so I love seeing them.
Yeah.
Uh, Even though I didn't really mess with the shorts, they're whatever. But this one, it's an appropriate sequel. I feel like it does up the stakes. And oh yeah, I will say though, they should have destroyed Arendelle. If they destroyed Arendelle at the end, it would have been my movie of the year. It would have been number one if they had
Guts.
if they have the guts. But even without that, it's still great.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it sits at number 4, and yes, it's better than Joker. Fucker. It's not, but
It's a cinema though. No, I'm just joking. Please no. Ah! All right, so for my number
it's not
three.
better than Joker. But I like it more than Joker.
But yeah, for my number three, convincingly enough, it's the third film in a running franchise actually, which I'm kind of excited to see where else it will go. David, I'll give you one hint. Um, Baba Yaga.
You see, this is a case of like, oh, it's also my list, but I'm gonna let you because you know.
Yeah, I do, you sick fuck. I'm just joking. My number three is John Wick 3 Parabellum. So, where do we go after John Wick Chapter 2? Well, what I love about John Wick Chapter 2 is I love how they extended the world even further. I felt before we looked at it from the surface level, like, okay, so we know that there's a high commission, a high table that kind of pulls the strings, but now we actually see the high table, and then we even go further than that. We also delve more into John's past, which was fantastic as well. Just seeing more characters that he either influenced or did dirty a little bit. um, and the choreography with the fights, nothing. I feel like nothing has degraded from the first film, which is surprising but also very admirable, and um, you know, gives me more hope for the future of this potential franchise. Um, I don't really have many complaints about this film, honestly. Um, John is John. He does what he does. Um, and the cinematography, the fight choreography, absolutely fantastic. It definitely needs to be noticed. Um, and oh yeah, the theater reactions too.
Oh my god.
like now people need to stop talking about John killing three people in a bar with a pencil. People need to start talking about how he killed someone with a book.
Oh, that was a huge meme after the movie came out.
Yeah, we need to start talking
The
about
book
that.
kill.
It's so great. I love it. David, please, your thoughts.
Oh, my thought. I'm not doing what you. I have to.
Oh wait, sorry. Repeat that. You kept cutting
I
out.
said, I said I'm not doing what you did before. I have to save my thoughts on this one.
Okay, sure, sure.
hmm
All
So,
right, so I guess you proceed with your number three.
all right, my number 3 is a movie I almost missed. We didn't see it the week of, and it was out for a few months, and we caught it near the tail end of its cycle. At least at our local theaters, and that's Knives Out.
Ah, yes.
Jesus Christ! Now, say what you about Star Wars: The Last Jedi. Ryan Johnson proved he can make a movie. He could direct actors. He can, and cinematography wise, just sheer filmmaking. That is one, in my opinion, one of the better made films of that year, right?
Right.
And now you got that same technique here, but now with like a story that's all his own, and that flows really nicely with characters with like huge, big personalities, and this whodunit scenario with a guy who keeps talking about subverting expectations is kind of the perfect fit, right?
Yeah.
And you do have a borderline perfect movie, and it's just so it's tense. Once again, it's one of those things that combines a lot of things I like in movies. It's very intense, it's very funny, and overall, it's just a lot of fun. The more that's uncovered about the story, the crazier it gets. And when it reaches a boiling point, it reaches such a sad conclusion. Um,
Sorry, did you say
and
sad conclusion or satisfying?
satisfying.
Oh, okay.
Satisfying.
Sorry, you just cut out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's the acting. Jesus Christ, Daniel Craig as like Blanc, as this like detective, is one of my favorite characters of the year. And it's basically the opposite of his James Bond character. Like this, he rocks this thick Kentucky accent, which is so. It sounds so perfect for him, even though he's this old British guy.
Yeah.
At least I think he's British. I think he makes it work so well. And then Chris Evans as just the opposite of Captain America, just this utter slimy dickhead,
Yes.
and just but like he even like it's so weird to see these characters are also strange. Even the main girl for a whodunit movie, it's such a weird premise to work. The whole thing with her is that she can't lie because she vomits when she tries to.
Oh, right.
But she is like spoiler, she didn't do it, but she's directly involved in what happens.
Right.
And so it just makes this it's such a creative setup. And the way it's able to like kind of manage that and the overall mystery is just so masterful. Even though and it's a feeling even when you a lot of people did kind of you could kind of figure it out who did it. That's the nature of who done it, right? Everyone has their own opinion and they kind of clue you into different characters and stuff, right?
Yeah.
And different conclusions. Even when you think you figured it out, it's a lot of fun to just see it all come to a head.
Yeah.
And it's satisfactory either way. It's just great. I'm glad that like after a lot of people were kind of digging into Ryan Johnson, rightfully so, because he did kind of fight back, which you should never do with the internet.
Yeah.
But people were digging into him last Jedi. I feel like a lot of people are waiting to give this movie shit, but no, even so many reviews would start saying, didn't like Last Jedi, but this movie's like unfuckwittable. And that's what this movie is. It's unfuckwittable.
Oh. Yeah. Yeah, sorry, give me a minute. Sorry, just need to send this real quick. God damn it, why now? Yeah. Alright. Yeah, so I already said my second favorite film. Yeah, it was Joker.
Wait, this is your number 3, right?
Oh no, I already did number 3. John Wick 3.
Oh, yeah, we switched places randomly.
So it's like you're number 2 now. Because
Yes.
yeah.
So wait, your number 2 is
Joker.
Joker. Yes.
Yeah.
L Society.
Oh no. We're gonna do that too. But yeah, it's you go for your number 2.
My number 2 is Ford versus Ferrari, a movie that I probably never seen, but one of my best friends, Perrin, is a huge car guy, and he knew about this story, and overall the trailers actually did look good, so we saw it, and Jesus Christ, what makes this movie different from biopics, from other biopics, this is a kind of a biopic, right? First of all, the scenarios this movie gives are, they seem to be so like hammed up and insane, but when you look it up, this really happened. Like, this story is crazy,
Yeah.
despite the fact that it's like based on this race, which is a very, when you look into it, intense race, but still you would never think just from hearing the basic premise. And then the racing scenes are super intense. They make you feel, you don't just feel the power of these vehicles, but you feel the danger too, right?
Yeah.
It's like, no, you could die at any moment in these things. Unfortunately, that does happen at the end for the main character. The acting obviously is fantastic. There's so much memorable dialogue in here. You really, it's a very much an underdog story, but like, I like the kind of switch up where, yeah, it's Ford versus Ford, but it's an underdog story. It's really very much the people on, like, the people doing the groundwork, making the car, the racer himself,
Yeah.
um, fighting basically against the higher ups because, these are the best of the best. By all means, the racer especially, he is like the guy who kind of found him. Is like, he keeps saying, this is the guy. He'll win this race for us. I swear it.
Right.
And they get getting screwed over by the higher ups because, he's loudmouth, he's not nice, so they can't mark. And I like how they even show that, like, they actually threw him out because I was like, we got another guy, and the other guy loses.
Yeah.
Yeah, and hell, he even gets screwed over at the end, because they're so, and they actually don't win at the end. Although he does kind of prove that he's the best, he's the hot shit.
Yeah.
The main character. I'm forgetting the names. I'm never good with names in movies.
Yeah.
But trust me when I say, like that means, that means nothing, because I may not remember their name. I remember the person very, and overall, like, just,
Hey, dude,
it's
repeat that. You cut out.
I said, I may not remember the names, but I remember the personalities very well.
All right. Yeah.
Because this movie is, once again, another extremely well made film. And
Yeah.
I don't know who made. I don't know that. I forget the director who made it. He must be a master of his craft. Um,
Yeah.
and it's just, like, it was such a surprise. I had a feeling it was gonna be good. I didn't think I would get into it as much. I was all in. Hell, it even has a slight pacing issue where right after this huge intense race, it leads right into another huge intense race with no break in between, right?
Right.
And in most movies, I would say that's exhausting, and ironically, it was kind of exhausting in this one. But I was still all in for it throughout the whole thing.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I was on the edge of my seat. So yeah, number 2, Ford versus Ferrari.
Alrighty. Now it's time for the finale, the last of the last, the best of the best. Our number one favorite films of the year. David, I'm pretty sure I already know what yours is, but
Should I say mine first because it already showed up? Unfortunately,
yeah, I guess so.
yeah. I do so much talking in a row. But my number 1 is John Wick Chapter 3 Parabellum.
Should have been number three.
Bad. You go in the corner, you think about putting John Wick at number 3. No, but anyway, as Rahul said, extremely well made and extremely entertaining action movie. John Wick, the John Wick series is easily the best action franchise of the decade, I think. Um,
Yeah.
it was so, even though it is small scale, but just the gunplay, it's so entertaining to watch. It's fast, it's furious, it's not car based. It's but like there's a real weight to just every set piece. The characters are all memorable. This world is just insanely interesting. Um,
Yeah.
you know, the like with its own internal rules, politics, and honor codes.
Yeah.
And Keanu Reeves has been like thrusted into the public spotlight again a lot because of these movies. It's a great comeback for him,
Yeah.
and you're down with him the whole time. And I think the reason this is number one is because I feel very close to this franchise because I saw that first movie. Back then I rarely saw things opening week, but that one I just so happened to see it with my dad, like the opening day, and I'm like, this is the greatest thing ever, and this is going to get big. It may not make that much money, but it's going to be a big thing, and I've just watched this John like grow over time and the sequels, and even though they never make that much money, their hype continues to grow.
Yeah.
And I'd imagine they have a pretty good like DVD streaming sales and stuff. So so just watching this franchise grow and now like we reached like not just that, but this is the third movie in this franchise and the quality has yet to dip at all.
Yeah.
It's like I get like this is the second movie I gave a 10 out of 10, and I give all of them a 10. They've never gone down. Really, like John Wick Chapter One, like Chapter Two, like this one's just as good as Chapter Two, and Chapter Two is just as good as Chapter One.
Yeah.
Um, if I had to pick personal favorite, I'd just say the first one because it was such a surprise and introduced us to everything. But yeah, I'm so like they're making a fourth one, and I don't think there's even a chance of those. And even if we do, we still have three great, borderline perfect movies, action movies
Yeah.
to rewatch. So, ironically, for the longest time, it was between this and ironically Joker, but Joker kind of moved down as like there are other movies that like I said, I kind of enjoy watching more, even though they're not as well made.
Yeah.
Um, so after that went down, this was like the easy top movie of the year
Yeah.
pick.
Alrighty then. Alright, time for number one. Who boy. Alright, so
And
for
now
me,
this is all you because I
yeah,
haven't seen this.
like for me, I felt like this film flew under the radar, which is kind of acceptable because the series that this film continues on uh, hasn't really had much of a resurgence in the past 8 years, with the exception of the one prequel series. But my number one film is the Netflix original special El Camino, a Breaking Bad movie. Oh my god. I'm just gonna say it right here, like on the record, hands down. Uh, I don't care who you are. This is the universal truth now. Vince Gilligan can't do anything wrong. He can't. He I just recently started watching Better Call Saul thinking, expecting a dip in quality, but if anything it's just as good or even better than Breaking Bad. I rewatched Breaking Bad recently to have a, new outlook on it and it's even better than when I originally saw it. So El Camino is it's so good. It's so fucking fantastic. So first off, there are two major storylines in the film. There's a flashback sequence following our main character while he was being held by neo-Nazis. And then you have the main storyline, which is him trying to get out of the state. Um, Aaron Paul, absolutely fantastic actor. I think he deserved every award he got for Breaking Bad. And I think he definitely deserves, some recognition for his performance for El Camino. And what's great is the distinct differences between his flashback version and the current version. In the main film timeline, how he's literally a fugitive on the run, just trying to survive, and he's very upfront about certain situations. Like you just switch back and forth, and it's not the same character at all. But it's just freaking fantastic. Jesse Plemons uh, as Todd, he is this sadistic, nihilistic, is absolute psychopath, but he kind of brings this like this innocent nature to the character, which is absolutely great. Mal Jones and fucking what was your name again? Charles Baker as Skinny Pete and Badger. They're really good. I didn't really like or care about Skinny Pete and Badger up until this film. Very charismatic, very wholesome characters, but I need to give props for the set designs of this film. They have went far beyond most films I've seen. Like, here's an example. The attire that the characters wear is based on clothes that were worn in the early 2000s, 2008 to 2010. Problem is, uh, the manufacturers just don't produce those clothes anymore. So they went out of their way to recreate an entire wardrobe for all of these characters, and they one up it too. Uh, there are a bunch of sets in the old Breaking Bad show that have been completely destroyed. How did they mitigate that? They rebuilt those sets from the ground up. And the use of practical effects too. There's this one shot where you see Jesse going through an apartment trying to look for money that was stashed away by his captor. And at first I thought it was CGI because there was no real way they could have pulled off a scene like that without the assistance of it. But no, they rebuilt an entire apartment room in a soundstage, took off the roof, and placed the camera just right so you could get the whole layout of it. It's just it irks me a lot that this film is not going to be recognized for its absolutely fantastic cinematography, the great performances from the characters. It's it's such a good film, and I'm so glad that I was able to watch Breaking Bad uh, the moment that I did, so I could have the interest to watch this film. Um, and if it weren't for the technical aspects, the lengths they went through to make it as authentic as possible, this film would have been probably a little lower on the list, but it definitely would have been still in my top three of my favorite films of 2019. It's just so fantastic, and yeah, that's my number one.
Yeah, yeah. I don't watch. I rarely watch television shows, if at all, really. So I never. This was never really something I intended to see. Maybe in the far future. Um, but yeah, no, this did. People saying it's really good. I haven't really seen this on people's top tens. Granted, maybe that's because it is like people may could look at it more as an attachment to the show or something. Uh,
I mean,
but I've seen it on a few. I've seen it on quite a few.
yeah,
Um, and I heard it's really good. So I'll probably this is why I probably won't be catching anytime soon. Binge watch the show.
fucking rip. But yeah.
Um,
But yeah, that's our top 10 films of 2019. Um, any closing notes, David?
um, opening notes,
No,
opening,
no, I
closing.
said I said closing notes.
So yeah, that's something we wanted to do this for quite a while, and it came out a lot messier than I thought. I started a lot more than I thought it was going to. Um,
Yeah,
but yeah, I think it also too is because we have to be, and it would be nice to talk about. I would love to give each of these movies like a full episode. or at least some of them.
Yeah. I mean, we already gave one of them a full episode, so.
But yeah, overall, like I saw 38 movies from 2019, and yeah, like I said, very few of them were bad. There were some bad ones, definitely.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about some of those in the future.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, making this list, it got pretty hard, but it did come to just kind of going with my gut feeling, and I'm very happy with this list.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think everything's placed exactly where I wanted to.
Yeah.
I don't have any regrets.
Yeah.
Um,
You know what? Like real quick,
mhm.
films that you're looking forward to in 2020.
um, well, there's Godzilla versus Kong
Yeah.
in terms of original movie. I'm with you. Antlers looking real good.
Yes.
If there's, but sorry, it's like, whew. But yeah, in terms of franchise films, nothing that interesting coming
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
Um,
To add to your Antlers and Godzilla vs Kong, for me, there's also A Quiet Place 2, Halloween Kills,
oh yeah, Quiet Place too. Fuck.
yeah,
Yeah.
Halloween Kills, the remake, sorry, the sequel to the remake. Wait, no, sorry. No, it wouldn't be called a remake. The sequel to the reboot of Halloween, and then Raya, the Last Dragon. Sorry, Raya and the Last Dragon, the
Yeah,
upcoming
Disney
animated series.
Animation's
Oh,
next film.
yeah,
There's a couple Pixar ones coming too. They don't look that
yeah.
interesting. Like
Oh
Soul.
yeah, and Weathering with You. Oh god.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, but Raya and the Last Dragon, I have no idea what's about. But if they kept the quality up,
Ooh,
um,
we might be in for a
from
good time.
yeah,
Yeah.
I wonder though if it will have the same reaction as like Frozen 2, if people will like
Yeah.
it. Maybe. I feel like Frozen 2 there was also just I think for a lot of people there's a bit of an expectation there.
Yeah.
'Cause a lot of people, despite the controversy, still like that first one. So
Yeah. But
um
yeah, let's
yeah, I mean for 2021 I'm looking forward to
oh, we'll save that for
Jurassic.
we'll save that for 2020, my dude.
Okay, okay.
All right, but yeah, thank you all for watching. The five of you that decided to click on these dumpster fire of podcasts. But yeah, thank you all for watching. See you all next time.
Bye.
I knew you were gonna do it, late, you son of a